Well, even though people begin, like there's a beginning point for practice, or a certain level of practice or formal practice, that might not be the next person's beginning point. Could be their end point. So they may not be ready to begin, even though they have engaged in practice, but who knows what the beginning is for them. Some people are already into yoga, so they can assume yoga postures and relax and show up as experienced, already ahead, because they're able to appear composed. We're not in their head, in their karma, so we don't know for sure. See? And we don't know ordinarily how long any kind of karma is going to persist, by way of appearance or by way of knowledge, see? By way of feeling, by way of conduct or perception. Mm-hmm. So everyone's in the same boat, basically, when they show up, with pluses and minuses depending on experience, which is all relative. See? Some can hear a word, right, and wake up when no one hears it, regardless of whether they were in a monastery or a more extreme environment conducive to practice for 50 years or so. So then you wonder, well, does practice make a difference? Good question.
Yeah.
It does and it doesn't. Depends on who's ripe enough to be here and be gone at the same time. Here and gone. Gone to here. Mm. So it could be said, and I'm saying it, you can spend 40 years at the feet or on the lap of the teacher. Doesn't mean anything. It's not what appears. It's not how close you are. It's in fact what you understand and what you are able to go beyond, regardless of proximity. If you're close to certain teachers, the burn's going to be on you, and chances are you're going to move faster than having, let's say, more space between you and the teacher. And so the idea of using sacred company as a step on the path is with good purpose. It's to feel something to accelerate or move you along. Okay? Put some heat on you. It's for the heat. Not everyone can handle the heat, and not everyone can handle the same amount or type of heat. But all of it is for good purpose, and that is to help you break through and rise.
And you've used the term beginner practice many times, and I suspect many different ways too.
Birth is beginner practice. Being born is beginner practice. Being in the womb is beginner practice. I mean, it's not that you're there in a conscious sense as such. Your body's being prepared at that point. And so there's prior to birth practice and after life practice for certain peeps. But more importantly, there's also sleep practice, which a lot of people are not aware of. They don't pay attention to that. You may be more in the monastic mode when you're sleeping than you are in your physical arrangement of functioning. Everyone is different, the same. And then it becomes a question of whether or not you are beginning one level of practice or another level. Who's beginning what? So it's not about beginning or ending, it's about practicing in the moment and transcending. That's essential to that practice. Letting go, perceiving to let go of perception. In order to access, let's say, pure being. Which is without qualification or condition. just waiting for you to enter it.
And so beyond that, is there no beyond that, or does that then begin, say, an intermediate level of practice?
It's another step on the path. I mean, it's another one of the billion beginnings. Like every day, every morning's beginning, man. Every moment of conscious awareness is a beginning. For some, every heartbeat is a beginning.
So then the idea of being stuck seems a little bit of a fallacy as well.
No, you can be stuck. There's no question about it. Most people are stuck in their pattern. The idea is to recognize a pattern that you can't be anymore, that you need to step out of so that you can begin another pattern. So there is being stuck, and that's relative to speed. Evolution. Yeah. That's why people find it really hard to change anything. You talk to them about changing their program, changing their occupation, changing their life pattern. No, they can't do it. Why? Because they're stuck. That's understood. No problem. The same applies to music. Music is like what patterns you're willing to be stuck in that you can enjoy. Right? You call it the music you like, which is a pattern of stuckness. Yeah.
How does that relate to Heartfire sound? It does it at all?
There is no hard fire sound. For most people, there is none. It's an ideal. See? It's like transcendence. See, hard fire sound represents the transcendence of the effort, say, to play music. That means it plays itself. It's the ongoing heart's fire sound. It's not a form. You can't play, it's not a tune. It wasn't intended to be easy or like accessible. No, it's like the Dhamma. The only way to it is mind how you think and how you process knowledge. You can't really have it. You have to open to it. You have to approach it at its level. It won't come down to your level. That's the law. You must open. So it doesn't exist until you open to its reality and you partake of it. See? You access it. See? You enter the realization of it.
And what do you have to leave behind?
You. All of you. See?
Is there partial access?
All of you. Yeah.
Can we trade a little? Can we
just all of you. The rest is thinking, wishing, grasping, clinging, imagining, see? Hoping, see? Begging. You're not bad, they're begging. Say, oh please, that could be an opening. Prayer, it could be praying. But the process is to open. We could also say it refers to a level of surrender, which is no surrender. The surrender of no surrender could be the right surrender. See? That's like 100% availability, see? Accessibility. Avail, access. Open. Be.
seems like there's a certain amount of maybe even danger in learning about the Dharma and feeling like there is a certain amount of understanding.
Well, the danger is that you may avoid realizing it before your time is up. That's tragic. See? Tragic. Mm-hmm. If you don't fulfill your potential for happiness and your potential for intelligence, your potential for compassion, your potential for liberation, for your potential, let's say, for transcendence, ensoundment, enlightenment, hearing into knowing, beyond knowing, and seeing into knowing beyond knowing.
And you were just saying something about you can't have it, you can't put it in your pocket, you can't.
Yeah, it's not a thing. Right? It's not really a thing. It's not a material thing. See? Let's say it's a spiritual idea. But it's a spiritual idea that is true to our nature. So it's not a spiritual idea then, it's a spiritual reality. It shows up as an idea for those who don't know any better. Can't think any deeper, let's say, because they are real beginners. They're beginning, see, on the path of life. They're beginning to learn basic lessons, like what's good and what's bad, and what social law is, what behavior is. Real beginners, newcomers to the evolutionary pattern that produces creative intelligence. Very basic, right? Like grade school, kindergarten. See? And we all have to be there, and we all pass through that. So it's all a part of the progression we welcome, because we're here to enjoy learning and growing and doing as a result of what we learn. Yeah. And then inevitably mastering, putting it behind us, putting it to rest. It's not a problem. If we're getting closer then, if we're evolving into mastering, where we can actually let it do it by itself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can't transcend what you haven't mastered. We have to master. Mm-hmm. If you master it, you'll become candidate for transcending what you've mastered. That means what you have to let go of. Mm-hmm.
So there's a process of accumulation before the release.
It seems like that. Say maturation, not just accumulation. Say understanding, deepening understanding. So there's a process of deepening. See? In other words, we can say there's a process of realizing wisdom. So it's not like accumulating, it's realizing wisdom. So you're not being the amount of wisdom you have. You're not being the amount of all this garbage you've read in your life or experience. You're not being that necessarily. You're just being here, nothing. So you're able to be here as nothing. So there's nothing better than nothing. There's nothing greater than nothing. So when we're talking about the process of transcending, clinging, self, thought, mind, body, and world, as an obstruction to simply being. Unconditional. So, non-conceptual being.
So we were talking about mastering, and as a preliminary step to release.
That implies thoughtless mastery of anything, everything. Cab driving, flying an aircraft.
Yeah.
So that the conscious and the unconscious or the superconscious have equal play in what's happening, so there's no stress. The solution is right at hand. Right, spontaneous, like intuitive processing. And that's what mastery seems to suggest. A certain kind of coordination of faculties. If I say I apply it to music, thoughtless guitar playing, which is intelligent. It's in tune, psychically correct. Thoughtless, it's not a mental process, it's a sound process. It's a hearing, feeling process that is without effort, at the same time it's spontaneous. Hard to describe, but the easiest way to play. And then there's mastery, because there's no limits to what it can do, except for your physical limitations. But otherwise, it's a thoughtless, effortless breathing process. It's like joyous, easy as pie. And it requires effort, because there's expansion, there's the creative force which is expanding, and heat and burning going on, so it becomes very, very intense. So by nature, it's very intense. You don't have to make it that way, it just is that way. It's just that way. And you want to get to your drumming with the right attitude so you can master. That means get to that point where it's happening by itself, and then you have a glimpse of transcending. So we can say, well, transcending begins with mastery. That means making it so it's effortless, so that you can then be beyond it completely. You can forget about it. You can read the newspaper and be drumming. Or your phone or whatever, watching some of them. No joke.
And the journey between, say, tiny child hits drum makes sound, all the way through the whole.
Even then, in my case, the hearing was like wondering, right? So it wasn't just playing and being unconscious. It was playing to be conscious. See, so it was like playing and being more conscious with each strike, see? And then dropping off from there after a certain point. See? Everyone's different. I can only speak for my own perception of experience, of unfoldment. See? And there was a lot of tragedy involved in it, so it's very juicy in drama, a dramatic process that gave this process a certain kind of straightaway to what it was that I needed to do to become, let's say, more capable as a musician, or a master of music in my sense of the word master. It's not about academic knowledge or mechanical or technical knowledge. That comes by itself from this place. We're going to the source of all technical knowledge. The source of all musical wisdom is in us already. It's like not your conscious ego, it's deeper. People are racing to go to school, and what they're doing when they go to school is actually inhibiting the real, but they don't know that. So it's like a strange karmic trick. You try to learn, and you're obstructing what it is. But that may not be true of everyone, so this is not a certain judgment on what others need to do to learn for themselves well before they get to that plateau when they can start to feel they're ready to step into mastery, before they step out of mastery into transcendence.
So on the subject of mastery and learning about a subject, say a drum, the process seems to involve going out and...
Well, you're learning to remember, for one thing. And so you have to be careful in the process, in that you might be learning what to forget at the same time. So the two go hand in hand in the beginning. What to forget in order to learn. What to do in order to not do. See, there is that sort of duality there. And we're talking about bad habits, so no habits, and having to create habits that are what you consider to be appropriate for, let's say, inevitable mastery. The right technique, let's say, depending on your school, come in.
Yeah, and one question that comes up is, well, if I'm just going to throw this away,
But
why?
you can't go that far. It's already thrown away. So you're too thinking.
Yeah.
You're not doing. You're thinking. Oh, why even start if it's already going to amount to nothing? Because nothing is so real. It's the only thing that is real is nothing. See, no thing. See. But you want to get some karma in motion. Otherwise, you cannot become master drummer unless you give yourself to the drums equally, appropriately, exactly, for the result to be sublime mastery. See? No self, no thought, no mind, just boom, but boom, 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 zap, boom, boom, perfect.
And it seems like during this process, it becomes questionable who to trust. To trust oneself and making these judgments. Should I?
Not so much
not?
who to trust, but what to trust in your machinery. Yes, what to trust. Okay. First, you need to know what sloppiness is and what precision is, right? What technical excellence is and what being off the wall is, right? Drifting, slipping and sliding and missing the point. See? So we need to have a sense of what absolute time is, even though they say there's no such thing. You need to have a good sense of what that is. Yeah. Whether you meditate on a metronome for ages and sort of like become a metronome yourself, which is not bad. It's good if you can do that. Because once you do it, you want to put that aside. Okay? Because I reached a point when I was young where I could actually be able to count any time. I said, oh, this, I know what that is, 60 minutes, 60 beats per minute, and so on. At that point, oh, this is 40 beats per minute. See? Oh, and this is 35, and so on. It's doable. In other words, it's doable. See? And so you build the precision in there, and then you figure out what it is you need to drum so that you can apply that, not as a limitation, but as a ground. You need time as a ground and not as a limitation. As you put that aside, you're able to stay in the pattern, in the groove. Or then you want to do something more than that. Mastery is not that. See? Maybe that's a spoke. Having correct time is a spoke on the wheel of mastery. And you need to know what you need to add to it. See? That you need to master so that that can come up by itself in the perfection of what it is you're to do when you become master. So again, you have to invest the energy and the time in that without prejudice, without bias. So under the right conditions, we can call them the right conditions. Sometimes that's in the presence of a teacher, sometimes not necessarily so. Maybe it's just obvious to and then it all comes together, right? Because there's no analysis involved in it. There's no, let's say, confusion involved in it. There's no doubt involved in it. It becomes a developmental process in liberation. See? Through time. Beyond time. Into no time. And then it's all time. Any time.
It seems like one of the profound gifts to need to master anything, whether it's self or whether it's an instrument or...
Well, there's a program in us to, let's say it's kind of, to use a word, drive to get things done, to accomplish. We're designed to do that. We have tremendous potential for getting very specific things done, and then maybe other people more generally speaking. When you're called to music, not when you like music, when you're called to music, it's serious. Serious, like your girlfriend calling you if you ever have one of those, you know. And you're at the mercy, you're at her mercy. Right? You're obsessed with her. This is being obsessed with something much deeper than that. You can't run away from it. You can't divorce yourself from it. It's in you. It's already there. And it's what is the word? Hungry. It's hungry. It wants realization. It wants to manifest. And it will manifest like a fire, an inner fire, the inner flame, baby. It has to come out. So once you're connected with that, you don't think about mastery. You know you're on the path of that. You're definitely going to be doing whatever it is you have to do to put your basic training behind you, so you can move on to more complex operations, more complex manifestations, more complex realizations of who you are as a creative spirit. That is self-generating in a sense. More is to have more, to want more, to do more, to be more. There's no end to it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yesterday doesn't count, it's now. Mm-hmm. And what else there is excitement. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Come on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the benefit, the advantage of practice, and I mean that with the capital P as we use it here. This like selfless practice is tremendous because of how much can be in the way otherwise.
Yeah, but you don't just want to practice as machinery. You want to practice under guidance. Right? So it's better to find a master musician who knows what you need to do to practice, not just on your no. What you need to do, be a better human being. So mastery really does include being human in the highest sense of the word. So being good to others, being of service to others, but being generally disciplined in a certain way, free of error in a sense. I'm going out on the limb here, right? So really wanting perfection. It's a word. Mm-hmm. But when you're playing it, you know what it is. And you say, okay, yum, yum, yum. Mm-hmm. So you want to train your machine, your animal, to be able to deliver perfection. And you hear it, and it's not anybody else's idea of perfection particularly, but you say, no, this meets the standard and the grade differently, but it cuts the mustard. See? There's nothing in the way of it. So it's like you imagine it comes out instantly. As you imagine, it's already there. People want that, like as they wish they want it to happen. Say, I'm wishing. This is faster than that. This is music at the speed of light. Say, it's gone. Creative spirit. And what can be better than that? We don't know for sure, right? So that's what you relate to when it comes to the concept of mastery. See, full-blown mastery, madness, insane mastery, but happy, see? Creative, not destructive. Destroy conventions, no problem. Because it's baby stuff. Recreate. So it's exciting. To have it on you and in you to recreate. Through mastery. Masterful discipline. Spiritual practice. With regards to higher mind, higher heart, higher body. Without too much distraction. Ultimate healing. doing the two. And nothing's greater than nothing.